Hi boys and girls, welcome back to art. Today we're going to be starting a new lesson. We're going to be creating these beautiful flowers using nothing but paper plates, some paint, and some yarn. So you're going to be using these. I have some of these at the school if you need them. I also, I got these like at Dollar Tree or H-E-B. They're not very much. This is what we're going to use to create our loom, which is where we weave our yarn into. Hopefully you had a chance to watch the video on Wassily Kandinsky and learning about his concentric circles and are able to know what we're talking about when we're painting this. If you notice that I used cool colors in this, boys and girls, and warm colors for my yarn. But let's get started. On my video or on my website folder that you have, I have added the template for you. I made this one, but I also attached this for you, and it's just using this. What we need to make sure is that we have an odd number of pieces, because that way when we weave, it'll help us go around and around, switching to the next petal. If you have an even number, then it will bunch up and it's not going to work. You'll end up skipping petals. So just make sure when you do this that it is odd numbered. And I count it, I hold one and I say that's one, and I count around to make sure that I have an odd number. This template that I have on there, it should print out with a piece of paper. This is has an odd number, and I used it when you cut it out and cut these pieces, and then you can use it to trace onto here. I used this one because I created it and then I made it onto here for you guys to print out. So I'm going to use my template right now. So when you cut yours out, you're going to put it on top of your plate, and then you're going to use, you can use a pencil. I'm using a Sharpie so that you can see, and you're just going to trace those lines. So I'm just, and it doesn't really need to be like neat or anything. Again, you're just tracing those lines to get them in there so you know how to cut your flowers so that you have a loom that you can weave on that has an odd number of pieces. So I'm just creating those. And then when I'm done, I don't need that template anymore. I have my pieces on here. I don't need to color these in or anything. I'm just going to use my scissors. And if you can see right here, this line that goes around the plate, that's where we're going to cut our lines up to. I know some of these don't reach it because I was making them pretty fast. But you're going to cut up to that line right there. So you're going to cut out all these little pieces, and they don't have to be too big. Ooh, it looks like my shop has 2 plates here. So I have 2 plates, and I'm just going to cut out each one of these pieces very carefully. And I said, we go up to that line and we stop and we just take out all those pieces. So go ahead and cut out all your pieces so that your loom is ready. These are temper cakes. They are temper paint, but they are just like watercolors, where I have to use water as part of my medium to use these paints. They are kind of like watercolors in the same sense. So you guys more than likely don't have these at home, and that's fine. You can use watercolors. You can use crayons if you don't even have paints. You can use markers. You can use any material that you need, but to color in your flower. So don't worry about if, oh my gosh, I don't have paint. Don't worry about that. Don't stress over that. You can use crayons. You can use markers. You can use oil pastels. You can use watercolors. So don't stress over the fact, these are what my students here are using so that they're getting a different medium to use. But you are going to paint it using this circle in the middle, circles around it, the concentric circles. I would like to see some cool and warm colors, like here I did cool, but I'm not going to make you do where it's only cool and only warm. You can kind of go with how you want, but I do want to see some cool and warm colors in there. So like I said, these are temper cakes. So, and when we use them, we just, like I said, they're like watercolors, and I'm going to create a circle starting in the middle. So when I paint mine, I like these because they are a little bit darker and brighter than watercolors. So I just create, see, I'm holding my paintbrush if I'm using that above the silver, and I create a circle in the middle. If you're using crayons, you can do the same thing, or markers, same thing, boys and girls. You create a circle in the middle, and then you can Wash off your brush if you're using paint, because I'm going to move to a new color and I don't want to mix my paints on my paints. If I mix them, I like to mix them on here or on a separate palette. So I'm just using another color that's going to bring out this one. A lot of times if you use complementary colors, it'll bring out the brightness. So you're going to continue to paint, and I don't want to leave gaps between the circles. So like here, I need a little more water. I'm going to paint around that circle, but I'm going to, and I want to make it a little bit thicker. So I'm going to make it, I have it kind of thin now. I'm going to go around it again, but I just kind of contour that circle, which means I'm tracing around it so that I'm not leaving any white space. We're going to make sure we fill all those in. Ooh, Pishoff made a mess on her plate. See, and sometimes we make a mess and we have to learn how to fix it and not worry about, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. So now I'm going to switch colors and I'm going to go to a new color so I wash off my brush. So go ahead, you're going to paint the entire plate like you see here. I have even the petals painted, and I'll come back to you once my entire plate is painted, boys and girls. You can see here, boys and girls, I have created my concentric circles with my inside of my plate, but now I need to actually go back in and paint these petals too. I don't want to leave those white, so when I'm done our white shows through. So make sure you also do your concentric circles, one around the other, and then you're going to paint your petals. So you can see here, boys and girls, I have finished. I have everything painted on my flower. I am not leaving any white space, just so make sure that way when you come to weaving it, that we don't have white spaces in there. So you want to make sure that you paint everything or color everything. Like I said, there are so many different mediums that you can use. If you want to use crayon, you can, marker, you can use colored pencil, you can use oil pastels, you can use tempera paint, you can use acrylic paint, you can use your watercolors. Don't think that you can't do this because you don't have one of these. Like I know my kiddos in the classroom are going to be using the tempera cakes, but they are a lot like watercolors. Have a good day, boys and girls. We're going to let this dry, and next week we're going to come back and we're going to weave on our looms. Bye, boys and girls.